right now, nobody enjoyed a better or bigger Smackoff season than this man. It has been 21 years since his win in Smackoff number 8. I'm not sure he's ever been hungrier for another strap. Entering the ring in his 9th main event and blowing into hour 1, riding a wave of momentum, it is the dirtiest player in the game. He's here. It's Jeff from Richmond. Jeff, what's going on?
Jim, thanks for the vine, and thanks for the time. And Jim, the date was April 19th, 2002, Jim, when the dirtiest player in the game, Jim, Jeff from Richmond, captured his first of what will be many Smackoff titles, Jim. And I generally don't like to date myself, Jim, but at that time, there was no Google, there was no Facebook, and Jim, a tweet was something that the late, great news journalist Barbara Walters gave to her pet poodle every night before bed. Jim, fast forward 20 years, the morally bankrupt clones are blowing me up and adding me on social media. Jim, they're all asking the same question. How does Jeff from Richmond prepare? How does he prepare for the great American Smackoff, Jim? Let me give you a quick peek behind the velvet curtain, Jim. For the last 30 minutes, Jim, I've been Conor McGregoring around my exclusive private office. Jim, my elbows are spread wide. My arms are flapping back and forth. Jim, I'm literally pouring sweat down my face, all over my $3,500 custom-made Armani suit, Jim. I'm ready. Let's do this, Jim. Can we finally put aside, Jim, the topic of the greatest caller in the history of the jungle? The greatest caller, Jim, in the history of the Jim Rome Show is Terrence from Sierra Madre, period, exclamation point, end of story. Jim, the second best caller in the history of the jungle is Sean the Cablinasian. You remember, Jim, in his prime, Sean was as close to automatic as they come. And at that time, Jim, Sean had endorsement deals with high-end restaurants, sports bars, and liquor brands. Jim, Sean's name was literally everywhere, except on a high school diploma. Fast forward 20 years, Jim, Sean is clearly a shell of the man that he once was. He has the body of a cafeteria worker, and my man looks like he's had a stroke on both sides of his face. I know, Jim, that Sean won't stand for what I'm saying about him today, but I don't have to worry about that, Jim, because Big Sean can only stand for a few minutes anyway. Corny joke number 1, Jim, what's red and bad for Matt from LA's teeth? A brick. Hell! Jim, I'm extremely upset about the PGA Tour Live Golf merger as PGA President Jay Blood Money Monahan sells the collective soul of the PGA Tour for a stack of cash. And, Jim, there were widespread allegations of collusion, tampering, and leaking during that negotiation. I'm very upset about it, but, Jim, surprisingly, old man Kenny Iafrate is okay with it. That's because Kenny deals with leaking issues, Jim, 3 or 4 times a day. Jim, jungle Tourette's is real. It's wreaking havoc on my personal life. I was out at Starbucks, Jim, with my hype girl, Megan. She accidentally picked up my coffee. How did I respond, Jim? Put that coffee down. Coffee is for closers. Corny joke number 2, Jim. Abby from San Diego recently celebrated her 28th birthday, or as Rick from Buffalo calls her, 15 years too old. Jim, answer me this question. Why does everyone talk in such glowing terms about Brad and Corona, the BIC? Jim, to me, he's your typical Cali dude, spray tan, pec implants, veneer slapped to his grill. But I will say this, Jim, I'm happy that Brad has been successful professionally, Jim, professionally. As a matter of fact, Jim, a lot of the clones tell me that Brad is, quote, rolling in dough And I'm sure that's the phrase that comes to mind when Brad makes love to his wife. Corny joke number 3, Jim. How about our girl Kathleen from Omaha? Methylene, Jim. We all thought Methylene dwelled on the far left political fringe, Jim, but the Laguna Beach pulley found out the hard way, Jim. Methylene is actually a big Bush fan. Get it, Jim? Big Bush fan. Hello! Jim, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about quickly the retirement of the GOAT Tom Brady at the age of 45, Jim. 23 seasons in the NFL, 7 championship rings. Do you realize that's more rings than Nick Cannon has baby mamas? And by the way, Jim, interestingly, Coach Bill Belichick made some comments on Tom Brady's retirement. It sounded something like this. Hey, radio man. I'm the architect, radio man, not Tom Brady. I'm the architect. 8 Lombardis, bitch. I got 8 Lombardis. We're off to Cincinnati. In closing, Jim, in closing, can we stop the storyline on Caleb and Green Bay being such a straight arrow? Jim, everything changed for Caleb when he won the Smackoff. He's getting busy with the ladies, but here's the big news, Jim. Caleb developed his own cologne brand. It's called Green Bay Nights, Jim. You take a little liquid, pour it into a small cloth, and you press it to your date's face. Clones. Who wants to walk with the new King of Smack? And until next time, Jim, good night now.
Jeff in Richmond, the big question was, would he show up or not? And then the next question was, is he going to go away or not? 6 minutes. I mean, Jeff, I like you, bro. Listen, everybody, he gets a little more leeway because it's hour number 1. But it's going to get late early. You don't need to go 6 or 7 or 8 minutes to win. A 3-minute call can win this thing. Come with your very best. I know Jeff would say, that was my very best. Pimp. Maybe it will be. We'll find out. But he did call, and that was key.